Episode 3, Surviving the Violence No One Sees. I clean my glasses because this is gonna be deep. Let's go. What happens when the lies don't just destroy your name, but your finances, your safety, and your ability to rebuild a life? In episode 3, we go into what it actually costs to survive abuse when the damage continues long after you escape, and why she's still fighting today. That's what we are doing. We start with one of the most dangerous beliefs people hold about violence. That if the system didn't protect you, it must not have been that serious.
Yes. And before we continue, I just want to explain some totally legal basis that this podcast and everything is made on the French press law, also the Danish media law, and the European human rights principles. That you have the right to reply publicly when a story makes you identifiable, even if they don't mention your name. So that means when you are recognized through details about children, partner, family life, you're allowed to answer back. And in the podcast, Christopher Eriksen and my ex Christian, they shared the information that made me, my kids, and my family and husband recognizable. So I am actually allowed to mention their full names if I want to. And it's under the legal definition by defamation. Because they misrepresented our lives in the medias. And I'm also under no obligation to notify Christian or offer him any right of comment at all. And I have a little funny comment because there was some people talking about me on Reddit with a nice little thread. You can see the picture where I stand like a devil. Like they say, if I'm equally guilty of everything my ex explain me how I be living like I do today. I wake up with the body I have and I take care of my kids, I spend time in Paris, and I move forward. I know it's really hard when the reality doesn't line up with the Podimo style fiction that some people keep looping in their heads. So yes, I work harder than most people, and I achieve more than most people actually. And I chose to share the good parts in my life. So if that hurts your feelings, it's not my problem, because it must be so disappointing, you know, when my life didn't collapse the way you wanted to do. So watching insecure strangers cheer for other people's downfall, that is like, those people need therapy, not me, and that is the real tragedy here. And actually we did some digging too on the online trolls, of course legal, and we had the comments analyzed and tracked, because the comment had the exact same wording, the threads followed the exact same storylines, and the tones were identical every time, like bitter, jealous, repetitive. And they showed the same fixation on my life, my kids, where I live, and whom I'm with. And it's always spiked the moment when it's clear I'm doing good or I talk back. So one person can make 10 accounts in 10 minutes. So the many voices and accounts mean nothing in theory. So to keep it simple, it means that all the conversations come from the same 2-3 individuals trying to make a smear campaign looking bigger. So the entire narrative collapsed the second my real life doesn't match the fiction that they talk about. And I moved on, and maybe the person should try doing the same.
People say if the system didn't protect her, it couldn't have been that serious. What is your answer to that?
That the people or the public think that the system are neutral and protective, and they are not always, especially not in Denmark. This year, the city I lived in, the Danish police were exposed for dismissing domestic violence cases because they found them annoying. And women that reported, strangulation, stalking, threats, violence, were told to go home. And some cases were even dropped as without investigation, and other were labeled like conflict instead of violence. So when my witnesses were in contact and the evidence disappears and things were ignored, that was not a coincidence. That's how the system works. They just want the mess gone. So, what do you say? The violence doesn't leave when you move, it just moves to the institution, what we call system violence. I had an emergency police alarm, like we talked about. I was a patient at the National Stalking Center. I filed reports, we had witnesses, medical documentation, and legal evidence. But the narrative he created that I was unstable was repeated so often and so aggressive that professionals begin to absorb it, because I freeze every time I have to speak about things. I work with that. I didn't always cry, I didn't react it, I just sat like numb. And it's a normal response, like Dr. Hanif said. So the system didn't just fail to protect me and my family, it exposed us. Like the court shared my names and new addresses again by mistake. The family court accidentally sent out where you were living at a crisis center again and again, and that should not happen if you are treated as someone in danger and if you have a police alarm. So people don't understand that in Denmark, the victim has to prove the abuse and not the person who caused it. It's the other way around. Like, you spend so much energy to defending your sanity, your motherhood, your credibility, while the person spreading rumors and spreading the violence, he controls the story, actually. So the system gives the abuser access to you, and you can't get away from that toxicity, especially if you have kids with the abuser. And I also have a lot other evidence I never used, from Center for Sexual Assault, DNA reports, trauma on my body, and I never used it, and I don't know if I will, and that doesn't mean the trauma wasn't real, but I don't think like a prosecutor, I think like someone that's trying to survive. So I was at the stalking center from 2018 till 20, anonymous. And then I became a part of the real program till 22. And all of a sudden in 22, he was going to the stalking center and a victim and claiming he felt stalked. So that's a classic reversal, like the abuser reporting the victim first and copy the strategy. This knowledge is important, and from my experience, it's really important to share the stories and evidence. Some might say, yeah, it's old news, and it's not old news because it's the same society as 20 years ago. It's the same approach. And they're still calling the woman hysterical and no mommy, no violence, and victim blaming you.
She had an emergency police alarm. Stalking center records, medical documentation, and forensic DNA evidence. Our own doctor made a statement. She was stalked massive, and his office too. Still, the system failed to protect her, and even exposed by revealing her personal information multiple times. Trauma responses like freezing and dissociation means she didn't use all the evidence then, and that's typical in high-risk abuse cases. And Denmark's police have recently been exposed for exactly dismissing and downgrading violence reports as annoying, misclassifying serious threat, and failing to act. This isn't proof. This isn't proof the violence wasn't real. It's proof the system wasn't willing to handle it. So you can see the system don't even help the woman. And recently we have the World Day about the violence against women. You can see all over the world. It's not even about that case. All over the world, it's a problem. It's a problem to how to protect women against their abuser. And recently in France, they said 90% of the time a woman die by a partner or husband or ex-husband is 90% of the time. 10% only it is outside the close family, the house, the acquaintance. 10%. 90% of the time it's someone she's been with, like the case we're talking about. And we can thank God like she's still alive. Claim 10. She should have moved on by now. She's just bitter because he has a new life. What you have to say about that?
I moved on. I built a life for my kids and my family. I'm married and I'm staying in Paris a lot, and I do see progress. Not because I was heartbroken or jealous, but because I stopped feeling safe in Denmark. So I didn't react when the podcast came out. I did not react the lies when my name and my chills were dragged through the medias. I didn't speak when I lost work, my friends and my safety. And I even stayed silent when it broke me financially and mentally. If I ever wanted to destroy him, I would have done that years ago. During our relationship, when the people in the industry told me so many things about his behavior, his sexuality, you know, it would have ended his career in a second. I have so much evidence. And I even protected him when he was trying to destroy me back then. And the people there are keeping repeating that version. They were not neutral at all. My former assistant testified me against in the drug case. While he was stealing from me, blacking out on drugs, and getting dropped from his label. There were witnesses, PR agency records, screenshots, videos that he stole. But still his words were used to attack me. So this is what I live with. So the bitter ex narrative, because it let people ignore the damage, you know? It's just easier to say she's bitter. So what they call bitterness is survival. So the trauma doesn't disappear because the abuser has a new wife and money for a PR team. The hate don't stop. And it didn't stop when I left Denmark. It followed me. Still here, I'm harassed daily. I'm not talking now because of him. I'm talking because my life was taken from me, and silence didn't protect me anymore. So it's kind of self-defense. Yes.
She left rebel and stayed silent for years, even when she had information that could have destroyed him long before now. And you know, when you've been along with someone, you have all the dirty secret about that person. The voices used against her included people with documented drug use, theft, and credibility issues. Her motive isn't bitterness. It's correcting a public lie that cost her safety, work, and identity. It's like someone stole your life and you want just to get it back. That's the type of answer we have here. I can understand that you think it's because it's about revenge, but we can take it that way. We can take it the fact that there is a poor dad that come to explain something and want justice. We could understand that. But at the same time, you have to use the timeline. And there's a timeline problem here. If you make an information, like we said with the expert, in the episode When Media Lies, you need a timeline. Why you need a timeline? Then you know who started what, and why there is an answer here, why there is an answer here, when there is an answer here. That's what police do. That's why police never put her in jail, because if you do the timeline, it makes no sense. And especially, my question again, why when you have your daughter, then the system gave you your daughter, you still say the system is not good? Then what? You don't deserve to have your daughter? Don't understand. And this is the timeline, the problem, because if someone tell you something, like for example, someone tell you, I just been beaten by two guys in the street. You just stay with that, but you don't answer why you've been beaten by two guys in the street. If you ask why, and you realize it because you say to them bad words, then you understand the problem is the person. That person started it. And that's the problem with the general audience. You don't ask yourself why. Why this happened? And why is really important in life, because why can determine if you are guilty or not. Claim 11, if it was real, she would have just left. She stayed, so it couldn't have been that bad. And this is a serious matter, because this disrespects all the women in the world. They lived under violence. But I'll let you answer.
Yeah. I didn't stay because it was fine. You know, I stayed because every time you tried to leave, you were punished. Not by him always. He did not always need to put his hands on me. He got other people to do it also. And people, either they don't want to or they don't see violence behind closed doors. Even I missed a lot of signs from some friends that lived it. I had eye patch mats to the head. I have, bruises under the hair. We had holes in the door all over the apartment. Not one, but all of the doors, like big fist holes. On the podcast, he claimed it was DIY. and then he did that in the episode that was pre-recorded. And then after my husband posted, you posted the pictures of the holes in the doors, he changed the story. I said, oh, maybe he hit once in frustration. The explanation shifted every time the truth got too close, like the lie with MTMA. He didn't know how it looked, but in court he literally told everyone he did it. It's on paper. So they shift. And there was also witnesses. A friend stayed with us for a while. She saw the marks, she felt the tension, she saw the outbursts. He also yelled at her a lot. And she urged me to get away because she did not feel safe around him. Nobody questioned him, because when the story kept changing, he just rewrote the reality. That's how invisible abuse become. So I left many times, but every time I was the problem. I was dramatic, unstable, overreacting. If you come home drunk and I have to pick him up at the Netto downstairs because he doesn't even know how to get in to the door that's literally 10 feet away. Is that drunk he was? So it was my fault, because he was mad. So it was my fault because I couldn't direct him to the door. It could be one problem. So when a person convinces everyone around you that you're unstable, they don't have to be violent with physical to be in control. And he also used others. The cruel part was that it was not strangers. It was a lot of people that I trusted. And the ones I least expected were people I barely knew or new people. They showed compassion. And trust me, like the paranoid you get is insane, because suddenly all friends are calling nonstop to report what other friends said and what they think you should do, or how you should behave. And when you haven't lived violence at any level, you cannot understand how fast your sense of safety disappear, and how impossible it is to tell who is genuinely there for me. And then we talked about it. Oh, you look good now. Why don't you come back to Denmark? And France isn't you. And as if like my safety was an inconvenience to them. Like being harassed would make them feel comfortable, because I was there then, but I would be harassed every day, and I would have no work. So, like, real friends don't guilt you back into that. I would never tell someone to return to a place where they were broken, stalked, and attacked, just to satisfy, my own ego or my lack of understanding. I would ask instead, like, why do you move? Can you explain me? And people don't do that because they have, in Danish, berøringsangst, fear of, talking about bad things. It's not nice.
Yeah.
So it's better we just do this. And I get it. So I don't apologize for choosing my health now. And no woman or person should ever apologize for surviving. No one deserves that, and that is why I put a lot of my energy still in pro bono work, and I take complicated cases with families and with violence against women, and I help them because they have no one there. So if I can help them with my education, at least maybe they will have a good future. So, and one hairstylist once told me, like, oh, I get why you always wore a cap and big clothes. You always hurt on set and you had an excuse and we thought you were clumsy. And another makeup artist also remembered they had scratching and swelling in the face. And she said there was always a new explanation, but she knew, she said, but she just didn't want to ask. So people only put the pieces together when you force them. And it's also okay if they don't understand this, but just don't say anything. But because then they're off feeling they're forced to take sides. No one takes sides. I don't want that. I just want that people know everyone comes from a different place. You know what I mean? So leaving doesn't end it just changes. So when I got out, it continued through others, through rumors, the system. So when you expose someone like him, he doesn't go without revenge. He just switched the strategy, He had my former friends harass my doctor, my family and friend with false allegations about me being schizophrenic and refusing to take medication. As I mentioned earlier, she talked to the school. It's illegal to spread that kind of rumor to public institutions. And she also repeated it in the court and in the podcast. In the podcast, her name was Louise. And this was not a woman with stability or credibility. She had several reports already filed on her kids because professionals have raised concerns about her ability to maintain, just a basic household. Things as simple as consistent bedtimes, hygiene, routines, proper nutrition. The kindergarten had multiple meetings with her about the kids' behavior and the parenting challenge. Her own family cut her off every other week because she was too unstable, yeah. And constant cries. So there was not rumors either. There was documented about her. And I never would have said those things loud if you didn't have forced me to do it now. So she didn't act alone. She also harassed my family together with my ex-husband, the other one that I have a big kid with. She pushed the narrative that I was mentally ill. She actively tried to pit me against my sister. Later, I found out that she didn't have that contact with them. And also, like my ex, he said, Christian, he say, oh, he had contact with my family or my sister still, and he still talked to them. No, the contact is made by court to talk about our kid. Like, my parents are older now, and they don't want any contact with that monster anymore because they still get gaslighted, despite claiming the opposite in court to give himself credibility. See, another lie is again used to shape me, that he talked to them. They have a good relationship. No, they talked to him because of a court order. So despite this instability, him and Louise also said she was also a person that brought drugs to my ex birthday, an ordinary weekday where we had kids. And they took it after I left with the kids. It wasn't until the next morning. So instead of questioning why she brought drugs around my children, he blamed me instead. She was my friend. So when I reacted, it was my fault. So there was always a pattern, like no matter what I did, the blame was on me. Even when a person brought drugs to a kid's party, which I have on text, by the way, also as evidence. So I could never not, do anything right. So I still supported her, and my friends welcomed her. And she became the person that he relied on to attack me. Someone with documented issue, multiple reports, and no foundation to stand on. And we have witnesses, doctors documented that the proof that Louisa lied about is false, and the statement and the harassment has been reported to the police. So it didn't stop there. Even his mother tried to contact me while we were at crisis center and say she needed Botox. This is the level of desperation I was up against, and still am. So false stories were spread in my name, so I looked unhinged even before I spoke. And suddenly I was being accused of things I haven't done, of contacting people I never reached out to, sending weird threats, whatever. But all that is common after you leave a violent partner. They destroy your credibility first, so no one believes you. So it wasn't just physical, it was sabotage, reputation, and control.
Research shows most survivors try to leave multiple times, and every attempt raises the danger. In her case, the abuse shifted from physical destruction and intimidation to digital harassment that you participate to, manipulation by third parties, false accusation, and institutional sabotage. In abusive relationships, staying doesn't signal safety. It signals that leaving had become the most dangerous moment. If her ex moved on and is married, why he still feel the need to talk about her? Who is really seeking revenge here? Who did the podcast first? He was the one who went on his friend's platform to speak publicly. Yeah, Christopher Erickson is his friend. They are only doing it because the drug case could resurface. Because again, she been acquitted, so who put the drug there? And they are trying to cover the tracks. He already got what he wanted. So why is he still hunting her? I think some people in Denmark need to ask themselves that. Ask yourself. That's really weird, right? And this is not even clever, because imagine now, because of all of that, suddenly there is a case in justice, and suddenly the Danish justice decide to wake up and make an investigation, a real one. Sometimes silence is the better option when you have something to hide. You know what I mean, Jesper. Claim 12. She's a narcissist, a manipulator. She made it all up. And I want to be clear, because I was one person that made a comment on one of my teaser. See, or you don't even listen to a podcast and you listen to rumor, I'm pretty sure she didn't even listen to the podcast. Because in the podcast, at some point, they say she been acquitted. Right? Then that means you didn't even listen all of it. You spread rumors, you talk about rumors. See how people are evil you are. But they're clever because they put that sentence about she being acquitted way far in the episodes. So that means your brain won't connect it because, again, Podimo thinks you are fucking dumb, all of you. I say it. They think you are fucking dumb. That's why they did it that way. It is clever because in reality, the audience is really dumb. And if you were clever, you will see the problem from the beginning. So what you have to answer about that? Good. Oh, sorry. Because when we read the public and private comments, then I continue with that. They say she's mentally unstable. Everyone knows it. Who is everyone? Do you have court paper? You're anonymous on internet. Like guys, all the people they come in my DM, my direct message on Instagram, and say that I was like, then let's go to court, because apparently you have material that you can corroborate to what you say. We go on court. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna take money on your pocket. Suddenly they disappear. She's completely insane. Everyone can see it. How you can see it? Because you listen on the podcast. How your ears can see? Can you tell us? She belongs in the psychiatric ward, not in a podcast. Psychiatric. Then why the Danish specialist never put her in the psychiatric? Maybe it's you guys who deserve a psychiatric. No? She might look good, but obviously something is seriously wrong with her. What is wrong with her? Like, guys, explain me what is wrong with her. Like, I want to know. Because you listen to a story that is full of bullshit. She's a narcissist with no shame. She will do anything for attention. But she didn't do the podcast for Podimo, right? It's him. So who seek attention here? It's him. So again, if she wanted to seek attention, why she didn't use her full name? She didn't do like a lot of women they do, especially in France or US, videos, face to the camera and say her whole story to seek attention and your tears. She never did it. She never did it. The answer came from me first. Because I was tired of what that person was doing. And that person to stay polite. She's dangerous to her own children, which is funny because a daughter or his older comes on vacation every time with all her friends. Not even one parent complain about her. Why? That evil podcast made by evil people never question those parents.
And we had 50-50 custody always, and she had address with me.
Just to say.
Just to say.
And it's easy to find in the Danish system. They didn't want to see that because it don't corroborate with the story they want to sell to you. You've been manipulated. She invented everything to ruin his reputation. But again, who started to ruin reputation of who? Who left Denmark? Who left Denmark? Who lost all her job? Him? He lost his job for one reason, because he started something. He started something. I could start it, but I was like, oh, they have a daughter together. You know what? Be the bigger person. He started it. Then who answered? It's me. It's me. Then why you don't attack me? Why you don't say, oh, a new husband seek attention, oh, blah, he's on social media, blah, blah, blah. No. Because first of all, you know I'm going to answer to you. It won't be nice. and you are so coward, then what will happen? It's just she gonna low down like the 100% they treat. Hundreds you treat. You're all been coward at the end. She invented, she plays the victim, sorry, to manipulate the system. But the system gave him the dollar. But she manipulated the system, of course. She fakes abuse to get benefits and sympathy. You fake abuse when there is hole on the wall. Excuse me, but are you the type of person that kick the wall to make a hole when you're mad to your wife? Explain me that. And go to specialists to ask them if it's normal. Just tell us. Uneducated people, because someone with a brain would see there is something wrong here. She only went to a woman's shelter to make herself look like a victim. When you earn money, the money she was making, when you have your job, she was not living with his money. When you have jobs, when you have life, when you have friend, you will leave all of that to play the victim. Nah, seriously, like we're not Netflix here, we're in real life. Find a better scenario. But we know where it come from. Like we said, like she said, and it can be verified if a police make an investigation. A lot of the claim on Reddit come from around the same people, and probably with the same IP. You see me? You hear it? Yeah, because when you listen to my podcast, I can see the cities. Yep, I can see the cities. You better use a VPN next time. She is dangerous and obsessed. She can't let go of him, but she's married to me. It's him.
Sorry.
It's him. He can let it go. Let it go. Let it go. There is a song like that, right? Like I said, his wife, poor her, because there is a second kid coming between them. They should focus on the kid and the needs of their kids, especially around Christmas. Then, during the last Christmas, being focused on destroying his ex. Or maybe they did it together and she's so pathetic that she has that to do in her life. I don't know. She's just jealous of his new wife and can't stand that he's happy now. Yeah. Yeah. Guys, what I have to add to that. But the funny part is now you say she have a fancy life in Paris. She don't deserve that. What the disgrace? He should be in jail. Guys, find the right narrative. Is she happy or not happy? I don't know. I don't understand. Like you confuse me. She deserves to die. Oh, she deserves to die. I can see that as a death threat. No, because he sent a letter to my lawyer that was a death threat, that because I just talk about him, right? This is a death threat. This is a death threat. Trust me, if the police open something, that person who wrote that gonna explain to the judge why that person wrote that. But your system is so falling apart that probably they will be annoyed to make an investigation. Her kids deserve to die too. That's funny. Then Jesper kid, you support Jesper, but not the kid not Jesper. I don't understand. I think there is a lot of mental people here. Like everything you just read was all over internet and all over, what you said, DMs, stories, answers, all of that.
Calls, you name it.
You mental people, it's you deserve a psychiatric hospital. You deserve to be followed. You are a lot of people that write that. You're mental. So this and just straight comments. This is a good day for the haters. She hears versions of this daily for years now. And while people online call it old drama, there is an active legal case right now. We can share confidential document, but here is what can legally be said and proven. The case is officially under jurisdiction. Witnesses are finally being heard. Evidence ignored in Denmark is now included. And unlike in Denmark, French authorities acted immediately by law. So, guys, you should ask yourself if your system is really the side you think it is.
Yes. Yeah, because like my case is not uh, a bizarre exception. Is normal in many countries, as we just heard. So this year alone, 16 women were killed by current or former partners in Denmark. That also puts things into perspective. Like you have around 38 million here. If you had the same femicide,
68 million real.
yeah, but around the same femicide rate as Denmark, it would be more than 180 women that would have been killed this year if you had the same rate as us.
Yeah.
But that's the happiest country in the world. I do quotation. So the real backdrop is when women report stalking, harassment, and they're told to go home and stop exaggerating. So, and my witnesses were never called. Also, that's how the system works. So, and French professionals know this. They've seen Danish women flee Denmark because nothing happened until you leave the country. They talk to me about the condition, and here it works differently, actually. Like, if you report, even if you're a foreigner, violence, the police can detain the abuser for 48 hours while a prosecutor takes over. So you're protected, you're not punished. They remove, it can also be a violent woman or a non-gender, binary, whatever. You know, they protect the victim. And psychological abuse, smear campaigns, and online defamation are treated as violence here, you know. I didn't know that, so I thank the lawyers and the police for that help. In Denmark, if you have complex PTSD like I do, it's treated as a symptom to be a bad parent, so I could not have the help for that PTSD because it would look bad on my record because I would be mental ill. And I don't know how to explain it. Here in France, is recognized as a symptom of the violence. And it's also documented that I cannot get help from the Danish PTSD clinic because I am still under mental and physical violence. I'm still being attacked. I'm still being harassed. So they claim that I cannot come and get help for PTSD until it's over because it's called post. Again, someone documented it, that the violence is still going on. So why didn't I speak earlier? So this is why, because in Denmark you're told to stay silent while abusers speak free to the media. Like I said before, when you defame publicly and made identifiable, even if they pretend to be anonymous, you have the right to respond. So that includes me, my name, my story, my kids, my family. Everyone was identified, and it was the intent to make us recognizable. So TV2, you know, Podimo, the minister, and my ex were warned repeatedly by lawyers and the court, and they proceeded anyway. They ignored it. So a Danish minister, like we talked about, she even commented on TV. She was later corrected by our lawyers, not by the media. And we still wait answer, Sofie Hestrup, by the way, why you did that, why you would do that, to talk about that, because it is illegal to call someone crazy on TV and say it's good you got your, custody, because you made a podcast. So people still amaze me. So they're all now part of the case. But they were warned, they were told, we had like open cars, they talked to lawyers, so we didn't lie. So they broke what was told by the law, not us. So yes, so it's like I'm done, you know. the trolls, the racist anonymous warriors, the Kirsten from Vejle from 200 Kilo and Camilla from Odense that wear the same dress from her pictures from 2022. And Olga in Paris that says I'm ugly and you will hurt me and my kids. You know, the Facebook courage and the Karen energy, it doesn't scare me anymore. Mm-hmm. It makes me sad that people can behave like that. Mm. But you guys spend years defending a man you never met and destroyed a woman you know shit about. So I'm not here to, you know, impress anyone or get pity. I don't owe them anything. I do this because it has to stop. And it has to be stopped. Mm-hmm. And I do it for my children and my family and all the women that still live with an abusive partner or former partner. To undo the you know, the shame they're forced on us, you know. When gossip become louder than facts and reality and proof. And I hope that the documentary we made in 2022 with DR would stop and bring so much shame to all the people that did this. But instead, the person that I have a kid with chose to do war instead of co-parenting, you know. And they think, Podimo, that they could give a story to a production company about me because they spoke first. Mm-hmm. So all I can say to that company, contact my lawyer, please. Mm. This is a joke, yes, sorry.
There is no diagnosis calling her unstable, narcissistic, or manipulative, like we already said in the first episode. That production company that made the movie, I hope you have like powerful people behind you, because the war that's gonna start at the moment that production start, I think the people that put the money on it, they're gonna lose all their money. This is not a threat, this is a reality. Better not start it. Just all I have to say. And people, they know me, they know when I say that. Podimo know it, Jesper know it, I go to the end. And this is not even the end. This is just a destruction. The end is not even that. There is no diagnosis calling her unstable, narcissistic, or manipulative. Independent neurologists, psychologists, and doctors confirm PTSD caused by documented abuse, not a personality disorder. All we talk about are backed by lawyers and proof. Backed by lawyers and proof. He kept lying to the woman's family and claiming they were still at good contact in the podcast. That's what I was saying. Contact forced, in reality, by a judge to avoid contact with her. And he created a division, manipulations, and he manipulated her 75-year-old dad. And he made him believe that she would go in prison. This is how disturbed he is to gaslight an elderly man. How you can be like that? That's the type of man you're supporting. For years, he sent constant emails and text messages saying she was mentally ill and attacking her character. The people who spread those rumors included recently Podimo, his friends, Chivito, his friends, and the minister, an individual close even to her ex, had no medical authority, with no proof, with no doctor. They spread that rumor and they destroy her life. Several have since been linked to false reports, interference with professional and misinformation given to the authorities.
May I just add one thing? That is a common abuser thing to use mental illness against a woman because it's an easy target, and it happens to almost all the women I stayed with. It's a pattern of behavior for a narcissist to spread that rumor because you look unstable.
Yeah.
So it's not a one case.
Yeah,
It
and
happens every day.
all the women they watch that they probably know, probably have that one time in their life when one time or several times that men they were saying to them they are crazy when they were
Yes.
saying the truth. So how you were surprised, guys? The Danish police have now officially accepted complaints involving her ex, the journalist Christopher Erickson, and Podimo. This is the news exclusive to you guys, and the news came this week. The claim that she made it all up was never supported by any evidence. Only repetition, and repetition becomes a weapon long before the truth is allowed in. Like we say, the lies take the elevator, the truth take the stairs. There are thousands of stories like this. And in France, we know that most of them never reach the public, let alone a courtroom. Not because the violence isn't real, but because the women living it are isolated, discredited, and silenced. Speaking out takes courage. That's the real courage. But real change also requires people who refuse to look away. And especially friends, they put you in a situation like, excuse me, guys. But if you don't understand that your friend needs to leave a country because she's in danger, you are part of the problem. Because if she's 6 feet under, don't come to cry on her grave. Don't do that. Every share, follow if you recognize the woman, every post, every donation, every conversation counts. This is not entertainment, it's evidence. Donations don't just help cover legal costs, they help other women in the same fight who have nothing left to stand on. And trust me, those men, they're good at destroying the woman finance. They're good at that. Trust me. That's why there is so many uh, public organizations, private organizations that help women in this situation, with also financial help as they can. But there is too many women in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't carry this story forward, it disappears like so many others. Our story has to reach a French courtroom, and we need people demand it does. It's already the case there, but the public pressure helped to make the case faster. There is no shame surviving abuse. The shame belongs to the perpetrators, to the institution that failed to stop them, like Pénicaud. Like Pénicaud. Imagine if there was no pressure, if there was no one talk about her case. Maybe most of the perpetrators they will be free. See now, most of them they're in prison, and she got dignity. A lot of women they will think, I don't come to testify on court because I'm ashamed. You don't have to be ashamed. It's not, you are not the guilty person here. It's your perpetrators, the guilty person here. In France, we say we see violence, so prove it. Don't wait for another arbitrary or another minute of silence. Recognize the signs. Speak, ask, act. We don't need passive sympathy. We need people to wake the hell up. Talk about it. Follow the persons. Show compassion. Share it. Write about it. Do something. Refuse the silence. Because if it doesn't reach a French courtroom, she will end up dead, killed by a privileged abuser who used money, connections, and manipulation to keep her trapped for years. I don't want to look like I'm Superman or whatever. No, I want to look like that. But trust me, I did my part. And we suppose all men to do our part and not escape and let women in that situation. This is not, absolutely not normal. Stand with us. Help us take the case to court in Paris to a jury. We will finally hear the truth of that Denmark refused to listen to. And here's what people forget. She didn't just lose everything twice in just 4 years. The people in crisis she used to fight for, the ones she protected, guided, and stood up for, lost her too. And yeah, she has a job and she helped a lot of people. She cannot help anymore. Good job, Denmark. They lost someone who would have fought for them until the bitter end. People see his true color now, exposed by his own mistakes, but still nobody apologizes to the woman they gossiped about. Yeah, because cowards don't apologize. During Fashion Week, she became dinner table entertainment. And I can see on Reddit also people continue to gaslight and be happy. Oh, I met her in a event. I say hi, but I know her ex-husband is a good father. There is a difference being a good father and being an abuser. And some abusers, they are fucking good parents, actually. If you know the matters and if you know how it works, you will understand that what you just said is just stupid and sounds stupid. Her friends had to defend her while strangers whispered, "Isn't that the woman from?" And she's still being harassed every single day. Imagine it was you. Imagine living like this 24/7. No pulse, no help, and no protection. Oh, yeah, maybe one protection. Only one guy, a black guy. That's the only protection. And there is a lot of coward men paid. I say that. I say that. Paid by Jesper or even use his wife money. Don't even know that he used your money to send people to try to beat her. The number of calls from people they want to introduce to our building when we went in Denmark to act with violence to her is insane. The numbers of calls are insane. But the moment I take the phone, suddenly they maybe made a false call or they started to state a fake story like, oh, I have a delivery for you. I never order shit, man. I didn't order a pizza, man. I hope you listen that I never order a pizza, man. So you think I'm gonna open the door for a fucking pizza? I should open the door one day and beat the shit out of you. But I didn't do that because I know the justice is gonna then blame me. We are the victim here. So I act like a victim. It's fine. The justice is gonna come one day. Imagine going to work pretending you are fine while carrying trauma most people wouldn't survive a week with. And you know it. Weak people. Imagine fighting back for over 10 years. She lost her safety, she lost a career, and the people she used to save lost her too. Women are dying behind closed doors while the world looks away. And nothing changed until we force the truth into daylight, even if it makes people uncomfortable. And I don't know why you are so coward because the reality is uncomfortable and you have to swallow it. And I will finish in French because thanks to my French audience that make it like have numbers on social media and on the podcast platform because he is one of the most listened podcasts and thank you for that. Des femmes meurent derrière des portes dérobées pendant que le monde détourne le regard. Et rien ne changera tant que nous ne forcerons pas la vérité à éclater en pleine lumière, même si cela dérange. Aide-nous à porter cette affaire devant le tribunal à Paris. N'importe quel fucking tribunal français en vrai. Le plus vite possible. Devant un jury qui entendra enfin ce que le Danemark a refusé d'écouter. Elle a tout perdu. 2 fois en 4 ans. Et les personnes en crise qu'elle défendait ont elles aussi perdu celles qui se battaient pour eux jusqu'au bout. parce qu'elle travaillait pour des réfugiés, elle travaillait pour des gens qui sont sans abri et elle les aidait énormément. À cause de tout ça, les gens qui sont lâches ont décidé de la mettre hors de son travail et donc elle n'avait même plus de revenus pour ça. Imaginez que ce soit vous. Imaginez vivre ça jour et nuit, sans pause et sans protection. Oh, non seulement une protection, son mari. C'est la seule protection qu'elle avait. Parce que même la police danoise n'a pas daigné la protéger. Nous n'avons pas plus besoin de compassion passive. Nous avons besoin de mobilisation. Parlez-en, partagez, écrivez, refusez le silence après avoir écouté tous ces épisodes de podcast en anglais. Et pour ceux qui ont reconnu la personne dont il est question ici, followez, commentez, soutenez. C'est maintenant que cela compte. Votre engagement peut peser dans cette affaire, votre silence aussi. Et croyez-moi que, dans votre cas, et vous avez vu comment je me bats pour des personnes que je ne connais absolument pas, quand on s'est mobilisé, on a changé des vies. Plus aucun homme violent ne doit encore passer au travers. Un agresseur en prison vaut mieux qu'un agresseur libre. Et à défaut, qu'on éduque les hommes et nos fucking enfants. Et cette lutte ne concerne pas seulement une femme, elle a déjà commencé pour toutes les autres, pour que les institutions reconnaissent enfin que la violence conjugale est réelle, grave et mortelle. Et je pense qu'on ne réalise pas assez que c'est souvent quand il est trop tard qu'on s'occupe des violences faites aux femmes. Et vous avez vu qu'à chaque fois, et récemment encore un nouveau cas, la dame s'était plainte tout l'été de son ex-mari. Rien n'avait été fait. C'était une histoire sordide qui était dans les news françaises. Il est venu, il l'a tué. Et c'est maintenant qu'on va dire on est désolé. Le témoignage que j'avais entendu juste avant, son ex-mari vient sur un podcast, détruit son image, détruit sa vie au point qu'elle est obligée de quitter son pays. Et son propre pays ne daigne pas la défendre. Et c'est ça le meilleur pays au monde, le pays le plus joyeux, le pays le plus heureux au monde, c'est ça, c'est le Danemark, bien entendu. Donc voilà, en espérant que vous avez passé un bon moment quand même. Et puis si vous êtes arrivé que sur cet épisode, remettez-vous les épisodes précédents, il y en a 3 précédents. Et après celui-là, il y aura un dernier épisode qui récapitulera tout de A à Z avec tous les experts qui en ont parlé. Bonne soirée à vous. Have a good night if you didn't understand what I said in French. But use YouTube. It's almost what I just said in English just before. Have a good night.